Hey everyone, welcome to Pros with Peter. Today I'm going to walk you through my brew day while I brew a pretty standard pale ale. Alright, brew day, let's go. I picked these up yesterday, $1.50 a pop. 5 gallons in the bag. And we got hot fire. Alright, we're at 158 in the pot, and we are ready to add our grain. This is my lovely brew bag. Set it down in here. This is my grain bag. It's all Admiral maltings. It's mostly their Pilsner, but there's a bunch of adjuncts in there. I can link to the recipe. It's about 13.5 pounds total, and I think it'll bring us down to about 150. We'll see though. Just want to mix it in nice and evenly, because if it clumps together, then we call them dough balls. Empty bag. Alright, this is just a sheet. I like to wrap something around the top end just to kind of make me feel like there's a better seal. I'm hoping it only drops about 2 degrees Fahrenheit over the course of the next 45 minutes. Speaking of which, I gotta start a timer. Only dropped like half a degree. Not too shabby. Yeah. I'll take a gravity measurement so that I know what I'm at pre-boil. And I'll probably take a pH measurement. I'm at almost 8 gallons, so it's like just under a gallon a loss, maybe if I was a little above 8.5, and I'm a little below 8. It's not bad. We got all our sweet wort in there. After our mash was done, I got the grain bag out and I put the grains in the green bin. And now I'm going to turn the heat back on, kick it all the way up to a boil. And once the hot break, which I'll show you, dies down, we'll add our first hops. We'll be boiling away. Alright, so the first hops I'm using are Galaxy. I'm going to measure out a 1/2 ounce. But the whole beer is going to be Galaxy, Strata, and Eldorado, some of my favorite hops. They're definitely ones that I have had on hand for a while, so I'm going to go pretty high on the usage, and then I'll probably buy some 2020 crop pretty soon, and even 2021 when they come out. Second hop I'm using is Strata. It's one of my favorite hops right now. Strata is dank and piney and citrusy, and it goes great in a classic West Coast IPA or any beer, but my favorite is crisp, clean, clear West Coast IPA. That's what I have on tap right now, single hop with Strata. Alright, now that we've hit a rolling boil, I'm going to add my 60-minute hop, then I'm going to add the rest of my hops as scheduled by the recipe. One last sniff before they go away. Yum! Alright, so this is my copper immersion chiller. I put it in the kettle and run hose water through it, and it cools down the wort once I'm done with my boil. I put it in with about 15 minutes left in the boil, just to sanitize it. I connected it to the hose at the wall and the other one at the drain, and I just set it in there while the boil is going, and it sanitizes it for me. Easy peasy. 15 minutes left in the boil, and go the Strata hops. Alright, with 10 minutes left, I'm adding Whirlfloc and yeast nutrient. Just 1 tab of Whirlfloc and a 1/2 teaspoon of yeast nutrient. Yeast nutrient is going to make sure to give the yeast all it needs if it didn't get everything from the malt. And the Whirlfloc is going to help the proteins coagulate and drop out, and hopefully not make it into the fermenter. And if they do make it into the fermenter, drop out and settle at the bottom later, so we get nice clear beer. Another ounce of Galaxy hops going in towards the end of boil. It was planned at 10 minutes, but I think I missed that mark by like 2, but I think it'll still work really well. Alright, the last hop variety I'm adding is Eldorado. I think it adds really nice fruity flavors, and I think it'll complement Galaxy and Strata really well. Alright, this was soaked in some PBW. It was clean when I put it away, but never can be too careful with cleaning. Now I've got Star San in there, and I'm just going to shake it up. Our boil's almost done. This is going to have time to sanitize, and then I'll dump this all out by the time that we're ready to start cooling the beer. Alright, our boil timer went off, so I just cut the heat right now. I'm going to get the immersion chiller going, and then add my flame out hops. Alright. Ooh, look at that. You can feel it over here. Hot, cold. Hot, hot, cold. Cold water in, hot water out, and not a drip. I set it up with Teflon tape and I got a new hose and it looks good. I'm stoked on that. All right, I'm gonna add my hops and then I'm gonna start stirring so it cools. I stir as I cool. I have tried not stirring while I cool and it just takes like 3 times longer. It wasn't an experiment, I just didn't really realize that you should be stirring. Of course, while you're stirring, you should always be sanitizing this if you ever set it down, because now that we've started cooling, we're basically on the cold side. So everything pre-boil or during boil is hot side, and that's all gonna sanitize itself from the boil. On this end, however, we're on the cold side, so we have to make sure we manually sanitize everything. So I'm gonna stir this until we get to about probably 70 degrees. I want to ferment this at around 66, but I'll probably let my temperature controlled chest freezer do the rest of the work for me. Because getting down that extra 5 degrees once you get low, especially with our groundwater, even on a cooler day in LA, groundwater's not that cold. So getting down to 70 is kind of probably as good as we're gonna get. All right, so this is down to 70 degrees. So I just cut the water and stopped stirring, and I'm gonna take out the immersion chiller. Clean this off later. Just be graceful. And then I'm going to move this to a higher level, just the table inside the garage, so that I can use gravity to feed the wort down into the fermenter. Hoorah! All right, now that it's where I'm gonna transfer into the fermenter from, I'm just gonna give it a big stir and let it settle for about 5 minutes, so that hopefully all of the proteins and hot matter and everything like that, the trube, goes to kind of the center and stays in the kettle, so that what goes into the fermenter is just mostly the beer. All right, so right here we have the wort that is settled down. I've got my sanitized fermenter with some star stencil in it, and I've got my sanitized transfer line. I'm just gonna make sure to keep sanitizing that, and then just give this one last go in terms of sanitation. Run a little sanitizer through the spout. Close that off. Did I make a mess? Don't look at that. Good to go. Connect that up. And open her up. I'm just going to steal a little sample to take the original gravity reading, so that after fermentation I can compare the original gravity and the final gravity and know the alcohol content of my beer. Cool. And then I got my sample. I'll let that settle out and then take a measurement. I'm kind of shaking it around, trying to get some oxygen in there, but I'm going to give it a good shake at the end as well. You want a bunch of oxygen in your wort to start, so that the yeast can start reproducing and become very healthy. But pretty much after you add the yeast, you don't want any more oxygen in there. I'm personally not too worried about clarity. I definitely don't use gelatin or anything. I'd rather have a vegetarian beer than a clear beer. That's pretty much it on the beer side. Solid 5.5 gallons. I'm gonna sanitize my hand and cover this up and just shake it up. Like I said, get some oxygen into the beer to start. It's gonna help the yeast give you good fermentation. Do this for about a minute. The very last thing we have to do normally is yeast pitch. Just a half-liter starter that I got going with one of the vials of yeast that I made in another video. I'll link it below. Just to give it a head start. You can tell it's active, nice and foamy. I've been shaking it. But this time, I'm also going to, for the first time ever, try adding some more hops along with my yeast pitch as sort of a dry hop whirlpool kind of experiment. So this is 3 more ounces of hops: Strata, Galaxy, and Eldorado. And then in goes the yeast. Another sanitized hand, and one more good shake to make sure that's all well incorporated. Okay, I'm gonna pop this into my fermentation chamber. I have it set at 65, so I just want it fermenting between 66 and 68. And now we've got beer in the fermenter, starting to go. Thank you guys for watching. That was just a rundown, an example of one of my brew days. I'm going to talk more about fermenters and building your own recipes and other important things about brew days in videos to come. If you like this video, let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to see more of. Share this with anyone who might be interested in home brewing. Just keep up with us. For now, go have a beer. Enjoy yourself. And Prost.